about this, and our dream was to show this movie on 42nd Street. And if you really go back, you know it was known as the Deuce. It was about 24 movie theaters up and down both sides of the street that showed all the kung fu, the horror films. You could see about 3 movies for $3 damn near back then. And so that's where our target audience hung out. So that was our main inspiration for our goal for the film Wild Style. Of course, it far exceeded our expectations, and really, like, amazingly, the film has served as the blueprint for the basics of hip-hop culture globally. A lot of people that saw this for the first time got the sensibility that I can do this too. And so people dived in coast to coast. In fact, we were shopping this movie around trying to get some funding, which people really were not trying to give us any money here in America, but it was interestingly, German TV gave us a nice piece of money to start, and also English TV, the 4th channel in England, Channel 2, ZDF in Germany, gave us a substantial amount of money. When we were able to go back to investors in New York, they were like, "Oh my God!" Like, so they jumped on board too. We got the film made. So now, around this time that we're making the movie, I'm making paintings, become really good friends with Jean-Michel. A guy named Keith Haring is around. We all become really tight. We're in that downtown East Village scene, meeting people, parties, clubs. It's a really wild scene going on, and just having exhibits and being, you know, kind of artists. It was all really great. It was all really fun. Most of the 80s was about that. And then towards the latter part of the 80s, I began to get restless. I was like, you know, I learned a lot about filmmaking with this movie, Wild Style. Hip-hop music, rap music was really beginning to develop. In fact, also what a really good buddy of mine who was kind of an integral part of the scene back then, a guy named Michael Holman, recently sent me some press, which we realized this was the first time the word hip-hop was used. It was because when we were doing press, we had to call it something. So we began to define the whole scene as representative in the film as hip-hop. And he pulled up some of the first downtown publications that had these articles that referenced it as such. So it was really amazing with something that's become so big and globally pervasive. Like, it all starts somewhere. So I began to get restless with the idea of painting, which I love and still love, but wanted to find another way, other mediums to reach people more directly and instantly, and as opposed to just having 3 or 4 exhibits a year, I wanted to find a way to do something and get it out in front of people right away. So there was no Yo MTV Raps, that'll come in a minute, but I was heard about, you know, of course, also downtown. Russell Simmons realized that that downtown area was a good place to set up shop, to connect with the downtown press that were open to these new ideas. And I began to try to lobby a group called Public Enemy to get to direct a music video for them. And I'd be in the studio with Chuck D. They were in Green Street working on their second album, It Takes a Nation of Millions. They pretty much had did the whole first album for under $30,000, $40,000. And a low-budget music video at that time, when average budget, I would say, was about $30,000. Chuck was really cool, really open, but they were hesitant about pulling the trigger to go ahead and do it because they said, look, if we did a whole album for that kind of money, why would we spend that on one music video? So those guys are really smart. But but I'm campaigning, man. I wrote treatments for about 6 songs on that first album, like, yo, B, like, I can do this. Plus that attitude of Public Enemy reminded me of so much of what went on in the household I grew up in. Just conscious brothers that were really ready to make change and really shake up the world and try to, you know, change the situation and the dynamics for people of color in everywhere. And so a woman by the name of Ann Carley heard that I was trying to do this video. She knew about my involvement on the downtown scene as an artist. She knew about my involvement in the movie Wild Style. She calls me up and says, I got a video for you. It's for an artist named KRS-One. The song is called My Philosophy. And a lot of those ideas that I developed for Public Enemy went into this video. So you can check out My Philosophy, my first music video. My philosophy. It's amazing in the era we're in now. People always walk up to me and ask me how I feel about hip-hop now. I go, there's still good stuff out there, but it's amazing when you listen to the lyrics and the way he's addressing the different things that are very prevalent in quote-unquote rap music, hip-hop now. So it's amazing. Like I was engaging some people on Twitter not long ago about how every rapper back in that era always mentioned this sucker MC. And at a point, I remember going like, who is the sucker MC? Because everybody had to mention like sucker MC and I'm doing this and I'm gonna get you, but yo, them sucker MCs, boy, they are out here. You know, let's keep it real. But still, it's great to be able to look back. And once again, a lot of these clips we pulled right off of YouTube, so you can go home and watch them again. So now, another video I did earlier on was for a group that was ridiculously large, crazy impactful, a group called Stetsasonic. And this video is dope when I look back at it because the idea of sampling, which became a primary tool for making music, they hadn't even invented actual samplers, if you will, like the Kai and the MPC and things that became like ubiquitous for creating music a few years after this video. And so there was a very, very prominent jazz musician. Well, I'm not gonna drop his name, put him on blast like that, but basically, you know, when something new is going on, when there's a cultural revolution afoot, which really I realize now is what I was a part of through this whole period, people are going to react sometimes harshly to a new form, a new process, a new way of getting down. So a lot of musicians did not think the idea of sampling was creative, was making music, and so Daddy-O, the leader of Stetsasonic, was not happy about that, made this record called Talking All That Jazz, where he's specifically addressing this particular artist who got at their process of making music. So the lyrics in this thing, is what he's addressing. Personally, for me, it was an opportunity because once again, coming from this kind of jazz background in my home and bebop being something that I kind of knew from a kid just growing up, I wanted to incorporate that visual element, aesthetic into this, as well as illustrate, because there were the personal computer hadn't happened yet and all these things. And so I had my art department rig up a sampling machine, which looks so crazy when I look at it now. You know, I'm like, make something, we got a monitor and put some art direction on it. Like film the word sample that flashes up on the screen. And so I was able to do a lot of things I was really happy with. Also got access to this woman that used to document jazz dance in Harlem. Her name was Maura Dern. I had called her up and got access to this footage where I incorporated this footage, mixed it in with hip hop. So I was really pleased about this on a lot of different levels. So let's roll that video, Talking All That Jazz.
And 3, encourages thievery in